Yeah, so I'm not saying that Ducharme should come back or anything like that. What I'm saying here is, for the first time, we're kind of seeing the Ducharme era Caufield. So I don't think this is probably the poorest that we've seen Caufield play since Martin Saint Louis joined the Habs. So it's an interesting question, right? Like, everybody was all over, Ducharme, saying, "Oh, look at Caufield's numbers." As soon as Ducharme left, he started scoring, at like a, like almost like 50 goal pace. So again, like, I'm not saying that he's regressed necessarily. I think what we're seeing, guys, is how they say sometimes things have to get worse before they get better. I'm trying to be positive here, right? Because we can all see that Caufield is struggling. Like, he's double clutching a lot. I liked the stretch of games that he had with Dvorak because he was handling the puck more. He was distributing the puck. But I find since he's been back with Suzuki, he's kind of back to playing that game where he's a little bit more passive, not really kind of creating as much with Suzuki. And, let's be honest, Slavkovsky is the one that's been driving that line over the last 5 games or so. But what I hope, so to be positive, what I hope we're seeing, and St. Louis has alluded to this before, is, Caufield is trying to learn a more complete game. And sometimes when you're doing that, it takes a while to calibrate everything. And, maybe he's concentrating on doing other things on the ice, not purely focused on scoring. So maybe this is an adjustment period that we're seeing. And what we hope to see, and this is something I've said all along, right? If you have the choice between a Caufield that scores 45 or 50 goals a year, but is useless, in terms of, two-way play, and he's not really helping the team when he's not scoring, and he's actually a minus player, or would you choose a Caufield that plays, both sides of the puck and scores 35 to 38 goals a game? Which one would you choose? So hopefully we're kind of moving towards the Cole Caufield that is still going to score big goals, but is going to be able to bring other elements to the game other than just being a pure sniper. So, right now I'm seeing, to me, he looks kind of like the Ducharme era Caufield, which is not good. But hopefully we're going to see him, bring up these other elements of his game, continue, find that scoring touch again. But again, like, what we want to see him is be able to be more of a puck hound. Like, he's never going to win a lot of battles on the board, but he can be a lot smarter with a stick, winning one-on-one battles, making sure that he's always back checking, playing on top of the puck, things like that, right? So a little concerning. I think everybody can see that this has been a tough stretch for him, but hopefully he comes out as a butterfly, right now he's in caterpillar form. Hopefully he's gonna kind of like turn into something as when he comes out on the other end of this process, right? I don't know, Undertap, what do you think, man? Like, what have you seen from Caufield
Yeah,
recently?
I think you raised some very good points, Marco. I don't doubt that. I mean, I wouldn't put it at the level of when he was with Ducharme, because back then I saw a loss of confidence more than anything else, and he needed that stint to go down to sort of reorient and find his game. And then once he came back under a different coach with a different criteria for him to sort of be himself and just sort of take the game as it comes to you, we saw what he is capable of. And those are, we have to remember, again, and this theme is going to be, it's been persistent all year long, and I'm going to keep hitting home on it. It's all about patience. They're young kids. They're going to make mistakes. I right now, I see him struggling. I see him perhaps doing a little bit more than he should be doing. Like, he's trying
But
to drive
Undertap,
plays.
you mentioned, like, the big concern that you had when Ducharme was there is that he lost his confidence. You don't see
Yes.
that he's lost some of his confidence right now, like, especially the last game. You could see like his body language and his facial expressions. Usually he's like super jovial and everything, but can't you see it's kind of
I
like weighing on him right now?
Yeah. Um, I would rather use the word frustrated. I think he's frustrated in his game. I think he has higher expectations for himself. I think he believes in himself that he can definitely score, and we all know that he can. It's not a skill that you all of a sudden lose. So I think that that's there. As a matter of fact, when we look at the current scoring for Montreal. I think he's number 2 on the list in terms of high scorers. And he hasn't been at his usual pace. So I'm not overly concerned, but I do understand, the issues that you bring up. And part of that is because I think he's been juggled with different players, and that's not necessarily a bad thing because he has to evolve his game. His game is not just about shooting and trying to score. That's a big part of it, but I think he has to be a more complete player. I do see him being more responsible defensively, and that's good to see. He's a very good skater with the puck, but he doesn't have the size sometimes to create and open opportunities himself. Like he doesn't have a body like a Slavkovsky where he can sort of impose his physical self and get that open space that he needs. So
But it
he's
could be,
gonna need
yeah.
I think a little bit more uh, like a regimented line where there's defined roles, and like he's got to get himself open, yes, but he needs somebody that can feed him very well. And
Thank you to watching another Habs Nation video. But before we leave, we invite you, don't forget to click on the like, subscribe to the channel, and finally let us a comment about this video. And remember, you have greatness inside of you, and we wishes you an amazing, great, and blessing day.